Hi guys, this is Mrs. Gibson, and I am doing an overview of the Talk with Mrs. Gibson, which was last week on August 5th at 6 p.m. Due to us having some trouble with loading the large video, I'm just going to do a voiceover of the PowerPoint, so hopefully it'll be a little bit shorter and you'll still get the same information. And thus, information has also changed a little bit since last Thursday. So the purpose behind Talk with Mrs. Gibson for all of our families that are new is it's for me to build relationships with the YES community. It's to be transparent with communication about young elementary school, and it's to create opportunities for the community to inform me or our GIS about how to make YES a better place for students. And if you haven't figured it out quite yet, we say yes a lot around here because young elementary school. So just a little bit about myself for those of you who I haven't met. It is my 16th year in the district. I've been a teacher, GIS, learning director, a consultant K-12, and a principal. I'm actually starting my 6th year as a principal, and I've also only been in the Clovis East area. So I'm very loyal to our Timberwolf family and helping our young Jets become a part of the Wolf Pack. I've been married for 16 years. I have 2 daughters who are going to be 10 and 8 in August, and they attend Garfield Elementary. And I do have a French bulldog named Scarlett. If you're new to Young, that might be random that I'm introducing my dog. But for those of you who have been at Young, Scarlett does make quite a few appearances in the morning announcements. And if I really had to describe myself for those of you who are still trying to get to know the school and who's around here, and not just our families who are new to Young, but our families who were on Zoom last year as well, you were also had a disconnect just because we weren't able to see you face to face all the time. But if I had to describe myself, these are the 3 things I would say. I'm transparent. I'm an over communicator. I will never apologize for communicating too much. And I will always do what's best for kids. So welcome to Young Elementary. The agenda that was done on 8/5 was we went over some class assignments, we went over some history and updates about Young, some new staff introductions, grand opening, back to school night, hot topics, overview of the school year, which is about like procedures for health and safety guidelines, bell schedule, parent drop off and pickup, recess and lunch. I'm going to touch on dress code and parent involvement opportunities. So just to give you a little history about Young Elementary School. So Young is named after Dr. Janet L. Young. She was a past superintendent for Clovis Unified, and she is one that is an admired administrator among many in our district. And one of the things that she truly started for us in the district and that we kind of brought into our elementary school was she used to always say that she can pay people to do a job, but she can't pay people to care. Well, we think that that is the same with our students. We can really help them along the way and we can teach them their academics and we can teach them about character. But in the end, if they don't care to do well or they don't care to have better character, it's going to be really hard to meet them halfway. So with that being said, each classroom picks 2 to 3 students every month to receive a care chip. The care chips are about the size of a silver dollar. They're a very thick coin. And every year we change the background color of where it says care chip. So technically, by the end, if you're a TK student all the way through 6th grade, you'll have a coin collection when you leave Young Elementary School. Some things that happened over the summer, we actually added 2 Z gates one on Jewel Avenue and one on Cortland Avenue. And that is to help our walkers and bikers coming from neighborhoods or across Spokane to get into the school safely without having to go into any parking lots. The other thing that was done over the summer was solar. The solar panels were added over by our playground, which thus is helping us with energy, but then it's also creating shade for our students at recess and lunchtime. We also had an upgrade to our kindergarten playground. So we added some panels for them to play with, some more shade spots underneath the panels. And all of this section that was just added is actually wheelchair accessible. So that is nice for all of our students to make sure we are including everyone and everyone has a chance to play. So stop by and see those new panels if you get a chance. Surprise, surprise, they do have some aviation embedded in them. Mandatory for all students. We still are only about 80% complete. So you need to go in and complete the annual information update for your child. This is one of the main reasons why our class lists are not posted. Not only is our enrollment increasing every single day, but until you complete this, we cannot put your child into a class. We would like to get all of our class lists posted by tomorrow night at our grand opening. So if you have not completed your annual information update, please do so as soon as possible. If you complete it, you'll see 3 sections. Step 1, step 2, and step 2 is because I had another child. You'll have green. It will say re-enrollment complete, or it could say pending because we have to approve them. But you want to get that done as soon as possible. So a little introduction about our flight crew. So the teacher list will be posted on 8/12, which is actually tomorrow for our grand opening and our back to school night. I'm going to show you this list, but I don't want you to actually get really attached to it because we've already had to make changes. So originally we had teachers in individual grade levels. I have had to make 3 combos. I know combos are not ideal for all families, but there's a rhyme or a reason to why we put your child into a combo. Please trust the system, and our teachers are going to be ready to help your child no matter what class they are in. We also have 6 new people joining us this year. We have Lauren Napier joining us. We have Jamie Tysinger joining us. We have Sage Davis joining us. We have Kylie Kompama joining us. We have Trisha Marzoff joining us. She's actually coming to us from Oraz Elementary School. And we have Jason Kelm joining us. So with 6 new hires, you can better believe that we have definitely increased by about 100 kids over the summer. Tomorrow, guys, we never got to have a grand opening, so we're going to do it. We're actually going to do it, and we're going to do it safely. So tomorrow night is our grand opening. It's Thursday, August 12th. 5:30 will be the ceremony outside in the amphitheater. You are welcome to come and watch and partake. We know it's going to be hot, but you're welcome to come and see how we're going to welcome in our jets and have a grand opening for our school. In the meantime, too, there will also be food trucks available, so you are welcome to come and eat and watch the ceremony at that time. From 6 to 7, there will be an open house tour, so everyone coming onto campus will get a passport per household, and it has about 9 different sections for you to go and see around the campus. So with that, it will help it with the traffic flow around campus to keep people moving. You will get a chance to meet your child's teacher, so you'll figure out who your child's teacher is, and you can meet and greet them in the classroom. And then when you're in the classroom, you will also get a voucher for a Spirit Wear shirt that is free for your child or staff member. And what we are going to do is the first Friday during the first week of school, every single student and staff member is going to wear the same shirt so we can have a unified front going into the school year, and we are ready to take flight. So there's going to be a bunch of different things for you to take part in, and we can't wait to have everyone here. So again, 5:30 is the ceremony and 6 to 7 is the open house tour. Some hot topics that I really want to go over. These are hot topics that are either you've seen or heard about through Clovis Unified, either through a board meeting or CUSD Today or word of mouth. There's also a lot of groups going around on Facebook talking about different issues right now, which is great for people to talk about, but I want to make sure you have the facts. And there's also things that people are seeing on the news. And all of these things are, again, fabulous topics of conversation, but I also want to clarify what it means at the elementary level, especially in Clovis Unified. So we're getting some calls recently saying, do you do CRT? So in the news, CRT actually stands for critical race theory. This theory actually does deal with races and how it changes depending on what's going on in society and what we teach. However, the material that would be covered with critical race theory is definitely a college level course. We do not do critical race theory at the elementary level in Clovis Unified. However, we do have other things that we do that also have the initial CRT. So this is why it gets confusing. We do things like culturally relevant teaching. We do culturally responsive teaching. We do cultural and linguistically responsive teaching. We talk about cultural proficiency, and we talk about cultural competence. So I just wanted to clarify that, yes, we do talk about culture, and yes, we do talk about diversity. We talk about acceptance, and we talk about inclusion. And we do that really through our use of our benchmark, our curriculum that's state adopted and district adopted. We also do it through our positivity project and through our second step program. And then we also have ways that our parents can get involved to make sure that we are addressing all the needs of our students and families within our community. So again, CRT, which is being talked about in the news, critical race theory, is not done at the elementary school level. The next thing that I want to talk about for you is CUSD dress code. So what's in and what's out. So I'm going to quickly go over some pictures. If you're new to CUSD, such as myself when I first started working here, I'm a Fresno Unified grad, I wasn't used to dress code. So it took me a while to get used to it. And I'll be honest, with two girls, guys, it's really hard to find things in dress code. But we have a dress code for a reason. And so we want to make sure that everyone follows the dress code. Shorts. Shorts can be worn all year. They may not be shorter than mid-thigh, and the pockets are key. Pockets in shorts are really what makes them dress code appropriate. So as you can see on the ones that are out, there are some athletic shorts, board shorts, but they don't have front pockets like they would in other types of shorts. So the athletic shorts on the inside, the Adidas ones, those are athletic shorts with pockets, and those are in dress code. If you go over to the out section, the Puma shorts without pockets, those are out of dress code. Tops have to be 2 inches at the strap. No halter tops, tube tops, spaghetti straps, or any like midriff tops. Sports gear, college gear is completely okay, but there's no professional team sports gear. So college gear is totally okay and in, except for one thing. What is out is if anything is in isolation that could be gang related. So with our city that we are in, there is the Bulldog gang. So if it says Fresno State Bulldogs, then that is okay to wear. If it just says Bulldogs, or if it just has the mascot Bulldog, that is out of dress code. Shoes have to have a back strap. That is very different than secondary, but this is because our kids in elementary school run. They do a lot of PE. They're out at recess. They run, they play tag, and they have to have backs on their shoes to make sure everything is safe. And no heels, please. No high heels. Hats and beanies. Hats need to be in solid school colors, or they can be a Young, Rayburn, or Clovis hat, East hats and beanies. We're kind of lenient on the school colors, so we're accepting white, gray, light blue, dark red or crimson, green, and navy blue. The green and navy blue is for the Timberwolf colors. So things that are out are obviously different professional teams or name brands that would kind of be there. Okay, hairstyles. So any unnatural hair colors, so purple would be out of dress code. If you have designs cut into your hair that's not natural, that would be out of dress code. And hair can be long, but it cannot cover your eyes. We want you to be able to see when you are learning. Camouflage. There is no military type camouflage allowed. Leggings and athletic wear. So leggings are a big thing right now. They always want to wear leggings, which is actually okay if whatever is on the outside of the leggings is in dress code. So that means dress, skirt, shorts, anything that you're wearing over the leggings, an oversized sweatshirt, it needs to go down to mid-thigh. So as long as it does that, then you are in dress code. Phrase rips and tears. This is where it's really hard to go out and purchase anything right now in the stores, but no phrase rips or tears. If you wear a pair of jeans to school and you fall and skin your knee, that's great. You are not going to get in trouble that day or even in trouble at all, but then you will not be able to wear them unless there's a patch over them in the future due to that now being a rip or a fray in the clothing. Okay, that was dress code. Schools reopening, guys, is my next hot topic. So here's what we know so far. Vaccines are recommended for 12 years and older. Yes, masks need to be worn inside buildings. However, there is an exemption process for students and staff with medical conditions within CUSD. So when we actually did this PowerPoint last Thursday, the exemption process or the exemption link was available on CUSD website. That has since been put on hold because now CDC says you can't just fill out an exemption link. You actually have to have a medical professional sign you off that you are exempted from wearing a mask or a face shield. So if you previously filled out an exemption form, you now are going to have to access a form to get medical medical acceptance of you not wearing a mask. That goes for staff and for staff and for students. So until we have the proper documentation now, even if you filled out an exemption form prior to August 5th, you will still have to wear a mask until we have the proper documentation. Why do I bring this up? Because I want everyone to know that even though CDC says masks are worn inside, there is an exemption process. And with that, there will be students on campus and possibly staff members who do not have a face covering on. So we cannot guarantee that that's going to be in your child's classroom or out of your child's classroom, but we will have safety measures in place to make sure that everyone is safe on campus, regardless of a mask or not. The other thing to know about exemptions is if you're going to sign for an exemption and get that medical professional to sign off on your exemption, that is only for students and staff. So parents, volunteers, or visitors who come on campus, you do not have the same exemption process. I know you can go into Target and not have to wear a mask if you are vaccinated, but that does not apply to public schools per CDC guidelines. So masks do not need to be worn outside. Social distancing is actually only recommended, but it's not required. However, if we do have to contact trace, we do have to deal with the 6 feet rule for a cumulative of 15 minutes. So even though masks don't need to be worn outside and they could be closer than 6 feet, if somebody does test positive and your child was around that person for more than 15 minutes cumulative throughout the day, then they will have to go through the quarantine process. I will tell you that that is one reason that myself as a parent did not fill out an exemption form for my child, because the quarantine process has thus changed. So it used to be if you got sent to the CARES room because you had a certain symptom, and then we would call your parent, they would come pick you up, and parents might take their child to an urgent care that afternoon. They would get tested, they would get their negative or positive results back. If they were negative, they would show up the very next day, less than 24 hours, with their negative test results and go back to class. Now, CDC says if you get put on quarantine, whether it's a positive case for yourself or if you were just a close contact, you must stay on quarantine and you cannot test until the 5th day of being on quarantine, regardless of symptoms or not. So that would mean that if my children were around other students and they tested positive and now they have to quarantine because they were close contact because they were not wearing a mask, then they have to stay home and I cannot give them a test until the 5th day before they're allowed to come back to school. That is a big hit for somebody like myself who's 2 working parents at home and we cannot take off that much time for work. Now, if your child's wearing a mask, they have modified quarantine. So if your child's wearing a mask and they're around somebody who tests positive, as long as they don't have symptoms, they can come back to school the very next day. So there's no quarantining per se involved unless there's symptoms. Young is opening, guys. That's what we wanted all along last year. So we're going to open. If the only stipulation is people have to wear masks inside, we will take it. So, but we do have to make sure other things are in place. We cannot take volunteers at this time. Parents are not permitted beyond the safety signs. Why are these 2 things important for us to follow? It's not because we don't want you on this campus. It's because once you're on this campus, you now are a part of the contact tracing policies. And that is a lot of people to keep track of. If we have parents walking their kids to class, if we have parents hanging out on the blacktop, if we have parents kind of helping in certain classrooms. So in order to avoid the contact tracing as numbers are rising, we're going to limit this at this time. If you do need to check your student out early for any reason, you totally can still do that. You're just going to wear a mask and you're going to come inside the front office. Make sure you have your ID. We don't, even if I know you or you're related to me or whatever, you still have to have an ID to take your child out of the school, and they will run your ID and then they will bring the child up to you. Bikes and walkers, we are opening. We had a lot of bikes and walkers last year. It's pretty awesome to see all of that, especially with nice weather. We know it's going to start off in the hundreds, but we're hoping that it kind of gets better from there. We want to make sure that you guys start to utilize the Z gates on Cortland and Jewel to keep you away from parking lots. Drop off and pick up. The easiest way to do it, guys, is stay in your cars. Use a loading and unloading zones in the front parking lot off of Cortland. The front parking lot actually is saved for the community. So even parking spots in the front parking lot, you guys can park in, and then you can wait at the edge of the campus for your child to come out to you after school. The staff parking lot is actually on the Jewel side, and that also is a loading and unloading zone for our kindergarten parents. Please utilize the streets for parking. None of our curbs right now are painted red. We need to see kind of where the flow of traffic goes before we bring out the painter. But you can park along the street and then you can walk up to the edge of campus, drop off your child, or pick up your child from there. I highly recommend practicing this before the first day of school. Buses will be in the Jewel parking lot, and events as scheduled are going to be going on all year long. We sent you a year at a glance in an email that came out at the end of July. And you also will be receiving a hard copy of Year at a Glance at our back to school night grand opening tomorrow night. There's already one change. So Year at a Glance is a great document to put on your refrigerator. But again, some of these dates or times can be tentative depending on situations. So the meet and greet for our kindergartens, which was scheduled for this Friday the 13th, is canceled because your meet and greet actually is going to take place at the grand opening on Thursday night. So there's no reason for you to come twice. We will see everyone for a meet and greet on Thursday evening, tomorrow, August 12th, between 6 and 7. But if you want to come for the ceremony, that's at 5:30. Here is our bell schedule. There was a mistake on the bell schedule that was sent out at the end of July. So all of my AM kindergarten or trans K kindergarten students who are AM students, you start at 8 regardless of the day of the week. So the only difference is on Wednesdays is you actually get out you get out early release. Wednesdays means you get out earlier. So those times those times are wrong. You actually would get out, start at 8 on Wednesday for AM kinder, and you'd be done at 10:45 in the morning on early release. Inside the classrooms, guys, this is what we're doing to keep everyone safe. One, thanks to Measure A, we have our new hospital grade filtration systems that have been installed in every single classroom. Masks will be worn unless you have an exemption. Desks can be in groups because they're nose to nose 3 feet. They will have an assigned seat in the classroom that helps us with contact tracing. We are constantly cleaning and sanitizing, and close contacts and quarantining will take place if needed, but fogging every night. In the lunch, you can see an example of our cafeteria tables and the decals that are on the tables. So for lunchtime, actually, this is a note to self. Hot lunch now is free for all students. A grant passed to continue free breakfast and lunch for students for this school year. So you do not need to put any money onto any lunch account. The other thing to note, though, is that there's only one choice per day. So it's not like you get a bean and cheese burrito or a chicken patty sandwich. Now it's just one shot, one choice. If you want hot lunch, it's totally free for you. You walk in and you get that choice. There will be assigned seating in the cafeteria. So they will be sitting every other seat with their class. They will be numbered 3 feet apart. Masks will stay on until they are seated at the table, and then they go back on after they're done eating. Students will sanitize before they enter the NPR, and they will also sanitize before they go out to the playground. So the other thing to make note is while we have this designated inside, as much as we can get our kids outside for activities and lunchtime with pending weather, we will do that. But again, it will have to be assigned seating so that we are able to deal with contact tracing. Sports are a go. So you think, gosh, they're outside in the morning and their supervision starts at 8 o'clock in the morning and they don't have to have a mask on from 8 to 8:25. Then they go in the classroom and they have to have a mask on. Then they go out to recess and they don't have to have a mask on. Then they go to lunch and they have to have a mask on unless they're eating, but then they don't have to have it on at recess. And then they go back into the classroom to continue learning and have it on. Well, then sports is after school. There are not many regulations with sports due to them being outside. So if they are outside, there's actually no restrictions. Masks are completely optional for your child, and they will social distance when possible. If they are inside, whereas for our first couple of seasons, it really is just pep and cheer, masks will be mandatory. Practices start for football, cross country, and girls volleyball the second day of school. Parents at this time, you are not allowed at practices at this time, but you will be allowed at games. Again, we are trying to minimize parents on campus, not because we don't want you here, but because it will reduce us having to contact trace with multiple individuals. Fall sports, again, like I mentioned, our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders can go out for cross country. Our 5th and 6th graders can go out for football, and our 5th and 6th graders can also go out for girls volleyball. All parents will need to sign a form via permission click, and that form will be available starting on August 12th. There will be a sports booth at our grand opening back to school night for you to get that information. The other thing that we want to make note about what's going on at Young is we are going to continue things that actually worked last year. So we're going to continue to do digital citizenship. This is where your students will learn about proper ways to be on the internet and search the internet and to be safe. So we will do that at grade level appropriateness during the first month of school. The other thing that we will continue doing this year is the Positivity Project. This is where we teach students about 24 character traits over the course of the year. It's about 15 minutes a day. And there is an access point at home for parents to do this at home with their students. Academics, guys. So this picture is actually symbolic to how I feel. So again, Casey Gibson. But the thing that we keep hearing about over and over again is the learning loss that we're going to have to deal with this school year. I am not a firm believer in the learning loss. If you're looking at this picture, there's a pencil. In order for people to actually learn, right, and writing, they use a pencil. If we lost the pencil, that means it's not longer in our hands. That means we lost it and it would have to be found. That would deem learning loss. But really, what happened last year is we actually just, our pencil got jammed and needs to be sharpened again. So that's not really a learning loss. That's not the belief that I have or our staff has. So we do have things in place to get our kids caught up to where we need them to be in order to be successful, not only in the grade they're in now, but in the future. I ask that you trust us. We have done a lot of research on this. The teachers have been hired for a reason, and they've been placed in grade levels for a reason. Please trust them when they are doing their job in order to get your students back up to where they should be. They're not going to be able to get you an answer the second week of school on why is my child not learning this right now. You have to be patient. We need some time to assess our students and see exactly what needs they are. But we will have intervention in place starting on day one. I will tell you, beyond academics, the social emotional part of what our kids are going through is number one for us. So that will be our number one focus, because honestly, if they cannot concentrate in the classroom, then the academics will not come. So we need to make sure that they are socially, emotionally capable of being with us and feel safe physically, mentally, and emotionally. We want you to stay informed, so make sure you read texts and emails. I said it before, I'm an over communicator. I will never apologize for over communicating. Some of you last year probably were so sick of us communicating with you, you ended up blocking our numbers. I would rather you just ignore certain texts than block the numbers, because that is what we use to get a hold of you if there's an emergency. So for example, if we go on a lockdown on our campus, I can communicate. There's people who can communicate through our text message program anywhere on campus. So that is something that we would let you know. Also, we do safety drills a lot. So let's just say we're doing a fire drill and you live behind us. So your backyard kind of backs up to our fields. Or if we're doing a fire drill and you hear this siren, I'm going to send a text message out that lets you know it's a drill. So that way it puts you at ease that if you're sitting in your house and you're working from home and you hear a drill, that you know that your children are safe and that we're just doing a drill. So again, it really is for safety reasons and for you to stay up with communication. Parent-teacher conferences will be in October, so we will always keep you informed along the way, but that's always a good note to realize that we'll be able to sit down and really tell you where your kids are. I then left our meeting to open floor questions, concerns, and comments. There was nothing that was necessarily generalized. We will be sending out to you. So the next form of communication actually will be all of our back to school videos that will come out from the teachers. Why are why are our teachers sending out back to school videos and not hosting back to school night is because we are doing a grand opening instead. So we really did realize last year when we did our pre-flight events that the meet and greets actually were more beneficial than you sitting down and listening to the teachers talk. So we will be sending out back to school videos. Those will come out tomorrow, August 12th. And then that way, when you come to our back to school night and school tour to practice kind of walking the steps of what needs to be done each day with your child, you'll be able to relax a little bit and do a quick meet and greet. And that will also keep us moving around on the campus. So we are not in any one spot for more than 7 minutes. Your first school newsletter will also come out from myself. I will be sending out monthly newsletters this year. So make sure your emails are current and Parent Connect. All right. Well, thank you so much for enduring this recorded PowerPoint. I will tell you that it was much shorter than the actual meeting. That was about an hour, but I appreciate you listening. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself, teachers, front office, call us, email us, stop by, and we'd be happy to clarify anything. Bottom line, we want this to be an easy start to the school year, as different as it's going to be again for some of you. And we definitely want the anxiety to be low for parents and students. So that is why it is so beneficial if you can make it tomorrow night, August 12th. I might have said October in my presentation. I'm sorry. August 12th, tomorrow, from 5:30 to 7 is the time to stop by. Again, food trucks will be there for you to enjoy at that event. And we have Guadalajara. Yosemite Concessions, Lolo Shaved Ice, and Kunisama. I can't wait to see you all in person, and make sure if you come to our grand opening that you have a mask with you, because every time you're indoors, you will need to wear a mask. Thanks so much, yes, community, and we're looking forward to a great